Hello everyone, welcome to St Mary's. This is a puddle left by the Norwich City team coach. It was as if it was urinating on me while I waited in the mix zone, which was about here, which kind of summed up the night. Probably can't see what that says, but that says Southampton Football Club, and some fans hanging on.
You've got a football.
Oh, well, it's Craig Fleming. Live interview. Better not. Quick segue. Well, there you go. You wouldn't have needed to hear from Craig Fleming anyway, but you can read my chat with Craig Fleming from a week or two back, actually. Really interesting in terms of the journey he's been on. It's taken him to becoming assistant first team coach here at Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl. And in fairness, I mean, don't think Southampton did anything that Norwich weren't expecting tonight. It's just they weren't good enough to deal with it. And there is this issue, and I'll be writing it in my piece for The Athletic when I get the chance over the next 24 hours. Norwich have this issue where when they're aggressively pressed, they can be quite easy to shut down. And that's maybe slightly different to games where, say, Man City pressed them in terms of position, but maybe not aggressively. And at this level, I'm not sure Norwich's possession game is good enough to deal with it, because all of their better results have come when teams have just completely given them the room and licence to play. Norwich were really poor in the first half, exclusively, really. It really hard to kind of take in and watch, because it was incredibly frustrating. Players who played very well over certainly 2 games and 1 game, and you're hoping things have knitted together quite well. They were just so short, and I know a lot in the Norwich camp will feel that actually it was ultimately 2 set pieces that undid them, and there is truth in that. And had Norwich have ridden it out, then of course the way they built in the second half would have been a lot more positive, but they couldn't do that, and so we're left with the fact that ultimately the shape of the game, we're going to have a little walk, the shape of the game left them chasing it. And I think at this level, again, much like maybe the possession issues and predictability maybe Norwich have at times, they are not good enough to chase a game at this level at the moment, which is why it's so crucial that they get ahead until they continue to adapt to a different level. And you're always wondering if that's possible, how long that will take, and all those sort of issues that you have to get your head around. I'm just having a flashback, I think from 2016, where a guy mooned at me actually when I did this video report. I think Norwich lost that day as well, so someone got a bit leery, and that was an exciting background back then. Norwich did improve after the break. I mean, Daniel Farke did try and tweak it. This actually felt like the first game where he could really affect things tactically, and he did it. He moved Norwich to a back 3 halfway through the first half, which drew. The problem was it kind of took Norwich before that point were playing as badly as they were, I felt, before the international break, and then the tactical changes kind of brought them closer into that side as well. So you had Amadou slipping back into the back 3. He didn't look particularly comfortable. He wasn't great all first half, and that was why he was hooked at half time for Alex Tettey. But that change also meant that Kenny McLean came a bit deeper, so Norwich then lost the one outlet they've really had in terms of a longer ball, which is fine. I mean, the way they've used that in the last few games has been good, but suddenly Kenny became more of the ineffective midfield presence that he was, in those games before the international break. And I think that's probably the most disheartening thing about tonight, is it was a very much a regression to where Norwich were. There are trends in terms of teams really being actively on at Norwich and how that disrupts them, and they are stuttering against teams that they really need to stop allowing victories for, because if they keep doing that, you will just get relegated, because you're giving teams that you're competing with over relegation, you're giving them the points that they will eventually add up to making life too difficult for Norwich to get their head around. It's very difficult to chase a game at this level. Norwich actually did a pretty good fist of it in the second half, as kind of Southampton's efforts in the first half told, and left them short of energy. And Teemu Pukki took his goal really well in the second half. they had really good late chances as well. Sam Byram had 2 brilliant chances. I think we've kind of learned in the last 3 games Sam Byram isn't particularly good in front of goal, because someone else may well have taken those chances. But to find yourself 2-0 down, and this is the Norwich side that is yet to pick up a point, having fallen behind at any point in the season, you're just asking too much. And whether that takes mentality, what they've got to process, they've got to get their head round and try and deliver that as quickly as possible. Zonal marking will get a lot of stick for the 2 goals Norwich conceded. But by the way, they're not the worst team in terms of defending set pieces in the Premier League so far this season. They're probably going on to be, but they're currently not the worst. We had this debate 2 to 3 years ago. If you do zonal marking badly, then you will concede goals, and it's not an inherent problem in the system. I personally believe it's when you do it badly. Zonal marking does not mean you stand still. If a defender stands still, that's not because they're marking their zone. They should still be attacking what's going on in their zone and being aware of the movement through their zone. And I think that's probably ultimately where Norwich got stuck. For the second goal, I have to say, for the first one, James Ward-Prowse has put in a fantastic ball that has somehow found the gap between Kenny McLean and Ben Godfrey. There wasn't much they could do about that. So Norwich have lost here 2-1. It's quite a sickening defeat, probably, and in terms of performance. Sheffield United at Carrow Road on Sunday. We're trying to battle with trends, aren't we? The trend before the last 2 games was a side that looked, in my view, doomed if they carried on. The last 2 games we saw some fantastic positivity in their performance as well as the results, creating chances, using the ball really well, defending resolutely, although still conceding and giving up shots. Tonight we've gone back to what happened before against Sheffield United, a team that Norwich didn't beat last season, and of course done supremely well. Norwich have a big challenge, but then maybe that's the kind of game Norwich might catch Chris Wilder and co out and do something. They kind of need to, has to be said. The Athletic, check in for features, long reads from myself about Norwich City, but of course all of the guys and girls are doing phenomenal work, so make sure you check that out. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can get a free trial. It's really great value for what you get, and obviously I would say that, but I'm also not lying to you. It's very much the case. I'm going to go. I don't even know when this is going to go live. It's probably going to be Thursday. I've got an incredibly busy 5 or 6 days coming up, so bear with me, and I'll try and make sure I get to each destination safely, starting with tonight. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Thank you for your comments. I always read them, by the way. Make sure you like and subscribe and share as you wish, because it's always really appreciated. Until then, look after yourselves.